Hi, Denzil. Welcome to the Girl Take No podcast. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to learn about Smarty. I can't wait to hear everything about it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. I read somewhere that you said Smarty isn't just AI. It's like having a personal assistant, life coach, and planner all into one, which is a really cool statement. So take us back to the moment where Smarty was born in your mind and what sparked this amazing ideal of yours.
That is exactly how I like to think of Smarty. I like to think of Smarty as a digital extension of ourselves, or maybe even like an executive assistant disguised as a conversational calendar. I started thinking about Smarty when I was in business school. I was just feeling extremely overwhelmed with everything that was going on in my life, from career to business school to my family commitments to my personal activities and clubs that I was a part of. And I was just thinking to myself, oh my God, everything I'm doing can easily be automated with existing technology. Technology is better at doing these things than I am. So why am I the one doing it? And so that's how I started building Smarty. It started out as a chatbot. I would chat Smarty tasks that I had to get done. And if Smarty could automate it, it would try to automate those tasks. And I pitched Smarty while I was at business school, and none of the investors bit. And I kept iterating on the product, kept going, taking feedback, and I officially raised money in January of 2020. And Smarty had already gone through many iterations between then and now. We started as a chatbot. We were a Chrome extension. Now we're a web app. We have a web app 3.0 now, and we're just getting better and better every day. And really, like, the core value proposition for Smarty is being able to say something like coffee with Shauna at Blue Bottle in San Francisco at 3 p.m. London time, and have a calendar event sent.
Yes.
That's just in calendar management, but we're also in task management, scheduling link management, and we just added email. So really this goal of just being this conversational executive assistant.
You know what's so funny? I use a lot of different apps, productivity, Asana, I use Notion. So I use a lot of different apps. And the one thing I said, I was like, God, I need something where I can track like daily tasks and attach like maybe some documents or maybe like my calendar to it. And so when I went on the Smarty's website, I was like, oh my God, I think I might be able to use this. Because, when I first came on the site, it did like the task. You can attach a calendar event to it. And because I'm like, I feel like I'm always opening up a Google Doc to list everything I have to do throughout the day, especially when it comes to podcast distribution and management and execution, all that stuff. And so I'm like, oh my God, I need a daily task list so I know I can check off what I'm doing, attach certain things to it. So is Smarty that resource for me? Because it seemed like it is.
No, it is exactly that. And it is this idea of like, you need to be tracking how you're spending your time. You need to know exactly where your time is going. And when you're interacting with all of these apps, all that translates to is things that you're doing in a specific time block. And time blocking is one of the #1 productivity tips out there from research-backed scientists and data. And so really that's what Smarty's trying to do. And it really ties into our larger vision. All of these apps are using Asana, Notion, booking flights. All of them have APIs. APIs are this language that digital services use to communicate with other digital services. And what I want is for Smarty to be this hub where it integrates with all of these online APIs, all of these different software talk to each other, and you talk to Smarty. You use Smarty to manage your calendar, to know, okay, when is this task getting done? When is this email getting done? And that's exactly what we're trying to do at Smarty.
I have to definitely start using Smarty. Let me actually, I really do, because I need to, I'm a very organized person, but I'm like, when it comes to my task list, I'm gone, I'm a digital girl, so I love doing everything on my computer, on my phone. So I'm like, I have to have some kind of way to track my task. I really do. So let's talk about, because for me, I look at you as like a trailblazer in your industry in tech, because, as women, it's huge. I work in tech for a very long time, product owner and stuff like that, product development as well. What were some of the unique challenges that you faced while trying to, bring Smarty to life? And how did you turn some of those challenges into opportunities?
Well, becoming a founder was a pretty long and winding road for me. Really, coming out of college, I wasn't even sure I wanted to be a founder. I was very anti-startup. I went to big tech, started as a product owner, as a PM at Microsoft, at PowerPoint, and then I switched to being software engineering at Yammer because I really missed building and coding. But it took me a long time to figure out that I wanted to start building something from scratch. And I don't think anything could have prepared me for what that was like, because I think a lot of our lives, we're always chasing one milestone after another milestone. And you have a good sense of what's coming up, what the expectations are for you. But startups are nothing like that. It is a blank slate. There are a lot of unknown unknowns. No one knows what the right answer is, including yourself. And you just have to take all of this conflicting advice and put it together and hope for the best. I think it requires a little bit of delusional confidence, but also grit and resilience, and also tough skin, because people are constantly going to be saying, no, you're crazy.
Yes.
This doesn't make any sense. And they might not get it. And that's okay. You have to take their no, try to figure out if there's any wisdom that you can use in that no, and not take it personally, and just keep going, keep pitching. And yeah, that was kind of my start. And I'm still going through it.
No, I like that you said that you have to, like because as entrepreneurs, you do have to have that tough skin, because not everybody's going to get it. Like you said, not everybody's going to want to buy into what you're doing, but you have to take that as feedback and figure out, okay, how can I now approach the next opportunity differently? And then you said something I think is key too, that I've just been hearing a lot of people say lately, and it's been kind of like sparking in my mind as well when it comes to my business, is that you got to have a little delusion with it. You know what I mean? A lot of people are saying that now when it comes to entrepreneurship, because you have to already see yourself in it, right? Yeah. You have to be so passionate, so motivated, and so into it that you have to already see it done to be on that type of path, because it is up and down.
Exactly. Like, I feel like sometimes that's the only thing that's going to keep you going, because everyone's going to be saying no. The product might not be working the way you want it to be. And so you just have to have this hope and confidence. And that is what's going to keep you running sometimes. And that's why it's really important, if you want to be a founder, that you have that confidence. And sometimes it'll feel delusional.
Yes, I know. So entrepreneurship, was it always something you wanted to do? Or you just kind of think, you know what, I just kind of fell into it? Or was it something you saw yourself doing? Even though you say you want to work in big tech, but did you eventually see yourself being an entrepreneur?
Never. I really did not think this path was for me. And I don't know why. I honestly think it was because my college was very theoretical. So it's trying to be more entrepreneurial now. But when I was there, it was very theoretical. And so I don't feel like I had a lot of exposure to startups. I didn't really think that was what I wanted. And it was like still when Facebook was up and coming, I didn't really like know if this was something that I would ever be interested in. I thought it sounded really hard. And then I went to a lot of different careers. I started as PM. I switched to being a software engineer. I taught computer science for a little while. I taught, I worked in law. I worked in politics. I really tried out a bunch of careers. And when I was at business school, I really was asking myself, if I could only work on one thing for the rest of my life, what would that be? Like, if I could really just follow my passions. And that's actually really how Smarty came about. Like, I was solving a problem in my own need, and I saw this future where I really believe that we're all going to have this conversational assistant or conversational extension of us online. And I was like, I want to be part of that. And so that's what really drove me. And I think that's really important for people who are thinking about becoming a founder. Their ideas are dime a dozen. You really need to find the one that is your calling, the one that you're going to stick to for a marriage, like for 10 years, because it's not worth it unless it's a long-term game.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the emotional journey like with being a founder? Because I know as entrepreneurs, that especially the ones that listen to this show, doubt creeps in. Doubt, fear, that thing of like, oh gosh, should I even be doing this? Like, is it really good? Are people going to buy into it? Did you have those moments where your self-doubt was trying to overtake, or imposter syndrome was kind of overtake when you come into a room of maybe those who are a little further than you in your business?
All the time, still, even now, but less now, because I now know that's just part of the path. You just always are dealing with that feeling. When I first started, I was so confused how I was so uncertain all the time. I was like, this can't be normal. No, everyone doesn't feel like this. So there must be someone who knows what is the right thing to do. And then you find out no one knows what's the right thing to do. This is a path of unknown unknowns, entrepreneurship. Everyone's path is very unique, and you are the trailblazer here. You are pioneering and trying to figure it out. And I heard a quote recently that really was very helpful for me about how the difference between imposter syndrome and growth mindset. Imposter syndrome is you telling yourself, I can't do this. Everyone's going to find out I can't do this. And then growth mindset is, I can't do this yet being the differentiating word. Like, yes, you can't do this now, but you can find the right resources. You can find the right mentors. You can find the right guidance. You can find the right experiments. And really, everyone is suffering from imposter syndrome, but people give up and some people just feel defeated but keep going. And I think there's a huge difference there.
I do too. I like that growth mindset where I can't do this yet. It's that yet, like you say, that's that key word is yet, because is that hope that you will get there. You will learn how to do it. Did you have mentors that kind of help you along your way? Because I talked about that in another episode with another guest, that how valuable mentors can be to entrepreneurs, and, a lot of ways that they seek them out. Did you have mentors to help you?
I definitely did. I definitely have friends in my life who are a little bit further along in the startup stage. But again, no one is doing exactly what you're doing. And so it's really hard to find someone who has the right advice, because no one knows what the right advice is. And so you just have to talk to everyone, really. And sometimes mentors are great because they can really show you what the next level looks like, but your peers are really, really important, because finding other entrepreneurs at the same stage as you can bounce ideas off of each other. It doesn't feel like you're taking their time, but it really feels like you're both collaborating together. Whereas when you reach out to someone who's very successful, who's going to mentor you, sometimes it feels like you're taking up too much of their time, or you feel like you're always asking for favors. And so I feel like it's really important to surround yourself with people at all levels, even people who are a step behind you, because not only can you pay it forward and mentor them, you can learn from them, because there are new techniques and research coming up every day, and you never know what someone has learned and gems that they have that can help you on your journey. I think it's really important as a founder to cultivate your network and share your knowledge, and then hope people will share it back.
I like that sense of community around people who are at the same level of you, and being able to inspire by each other, encourage. I like that a lot. I want to say something, because what you was able to raise $2.5 million in your first round, and which is absolutely amazing, because I know a lot of two rounds. Okay. So 2 rounds, which is amazing still, right? It's a great milestone, because a lot of people it's hard for a lot of people to do that. You know what I mean? To come out as first time founder. So tell us, do you have any tips or any strategies that you use to kind of help you get to that place that you can offer to our audience?
Definitely. So as I said, the first time I pitched my idea, I did not get any funding. That was in 2018. It took me 2 years to raise our first round, and then another 2 years after that before I raised the full 2.5. And really, my biggest learning is that you have to keep going. That is the only thing. You have to constantly be seeking feedback. You have to have that tough skin to take those no's, and then parse through that no to figuring out, why did they say no? What could I do differently in the future to turn this into a yes? My first investor was Pear Ventures out in the Bay Area in California. And I pitched to them in 2018, and the founding partner there said no, gave me some advice, and I just kept in touch. I was like, okay, now this is what I'm doing. I've done this now. Here are my latest updates. I just kept showing progress, and I kept showing how invested I was in the idea. And I think that's why they invested in me. That's why they wrote that first check. And I think once you have that first check, the momentum keeps it going.
Yeah. And I think you also said something that's really important, because I talk about fostering relationships, like how to get and maintain and foster relationships, because it's so important in business when you do meet people to be able to foster that relationship and make sure you cultivate it over time. And like you said, it's so important. It's like, they turned me down the first time, but I stayed in contact, kind of gave them updates on what was going on. That is so key when it comes to looking for an investor or getting people invested in what you're doing. And I think it's important. So I'm so glad you said that, because I don't feel like a lot of entrepreneurs really foster those relationships the way they do. I think some would have took that no that you got and would have been like, I'm never going to contact them again. They'll see. You know what I mean? Like, kind of take that attitude.
Had those moments myself, and I've learned over time, you cannot take anything personally.
Yeah.
It's like a no for someone is just a no right now. It can be a yes someday. And really, you're trying to align incentives, and you're trying to find the person who will be your partner willingly. And so it's okay if you get a no. Just learn from it. It might turn into a yes someday. And I really love what you said about cultivating your community and your network, because for a long time, I really hated the idiom, your network is your net worth. I thought it was very transactional. I was like, wow, that is so crazy to think about it that way. And then I don't know, growing and cultivating my network, I'm like, actually, your network is filled with people who want to help you, who want your help. And it's almost like it's almost karma. Like, the more you put into your network, the more you'll get out of it. And it can open up doors you just did not see were there.
Yes. And what type of, let me know, because it's a first step that we have to take. And the first step is to ask. And so what is your way of asking? Because I know a lot of people struggle with asking for something. Number one, you have to know what you want. I do know that. Know what you're asking for, know what number you're looking to get, whatever those parameters may be. So how did you take that first step into asking? What tips can you offer with that?
Yeah, I definitely think there are a lot of people who want to help out there in your community. So asking is the best way to put yourself out there and to start finding out what you need and what can people help you with. The second thing is to give. I think giving helps people come into your network, and then you'll be surprised at what is happening in their own networks where they can connect you. When you offer up your knowledge, your wisdom, your experiences, people are drawn to you. They want to talk to you. They want to hear you. And then they will ask you, like, how can I help you? And that's makes it so easy to ask. If you're shy about asking, that is a great way to build a connection and then foster a relationship and then putting your ask out there. So I think that's the second thing, because you don't want to be just a taker. People can tell when you're just a taker. You have to also be willing to give your experiences. And it doesn't have to be a lot. It could just be a little bit of knowledge sharing. It could be a little bit of your energy. You never know who's going to be helpful in your career or in your current like milestone that you're trying to achieve. I think those are my two biggest tips. The other thing is like, I think you have to just put yourself out there. You just have to be building in public. Just be talking about what you're doing with everyone you meet and always be communicating like, this is what I'm struggling with right now, because that'll give you a chance to get feedback. It'll put you on top of your own mind as well as their mind. And you'll be surprised how people will like reach out weeks later being like, oh, I met this person. I think they could help you. And people want to be helpful. So it's important to put yourself out there.
I like that. You said build in public. I like that. I got to use that. I got to make sure I write that down. I am going to mention that to other entrepreneurs that I know around me too, to build in public, because I think that is important. And it is important, like you said, to offer it's a give and take. So you got to be able to add value to them as they add to you. It's not just about taking from them and only contacting people when you need something. Right? It's about having that two-way relationship. That's what relationships are. They do definitely two ways. When you started Smarty, I want to talk about balance, right? Because you mentioned all the different things you had, and right now you're a full-fledged founder. Your business is truly growing. You're thriving. How do you balance your personal and business? Because as a founder, it's like, I know you can work 24 hours, 7 days a week without any days off. How do you prioritize your personal time, your mental health? Let's talk about that.
It's such a great question. And it's something that I really struggled with up until recently. I just wasn't putting enough value on my like mental health and my physical health. And it takes a toll on you. And the fact is, because entrepreneurship is so many unknown unknowns, there's always more to be doing. There's almost more that you can get done, more you can figure out. And you have to have boundaries in your life, and you have to figure out ways to energize yourself. And honestly, I actually use Smarty for a lot of this. I use Smarty to like make sure I have time block periods of mental health time, self-care time, physical health time. And this year specifically, like, I'm really trying to prioritize my mental and physical health, because the stronger you are, the stronger you are when you're working. Like, the more you can bring to your business when you have a good foundation. And for me, like, that means like making sure I do work out, that I'm keeping hydrated, that I'm standing, that I'm communicating with my family and friends and making time for that. And then that way I know that my energy levels are at their peak when I am sitting down to do time blocked focused work. I know that I've like managed my day, managed the energy of my day in a way where everything I'm doing is gearing me up to do my best work every day. Yeah. And that's actually our tagline at Smarty. It's plan your best day every day. And that means incorporating these things that are important to you.
Exactly. And I like that, because I was just about to ask you, like, what are the different ways that people can use Smarty in their business or in their daily life to help them, to help them kind of stay focused? Are there some other ways that they can use it as well?
Yes. So at Smarty, you can connect your multiple accounts. So we're just on top of G Suite right now, but you can connect your personal accounts, your professional accounts, and then you can add your habits. So your morning habits, your evening habits, your physical healthcare, physical workouts. And one of the greatest things about Smarty is that we can auto schedule your day. So you can say like, okay, I need 30 minutes to do this every day. And Smarty will find you 30-minute time blocks. And if you miss it, Smarty will roll it over to the next relevant time. If you have weekly goals, Smarty will roll it over to the next day. Really trying to intelligently use AI to plan your schedule, because AI and technology is really good at optimizing things like time constraints or requirements or deadlines, which is something that humans are terrible at. We are terrible at keeping track of all of our deadlines and everything on our plate. It is a lot better to just brain dump it into something that will do it logically and with the perfect algorithms.
And I love that, because that brain dump is what I need to be able to dump everything into one place and be able to see it in one place. And I think that's why this app and this application is so important, because this resource is important to have as business owners, because we do have a lot going on and we feel like every minute of our day is supposed to be working towards something. If not, we feel like we're not progressing. Right. And so being able to block off those time, because I'm prioritizing my own mental health and time with my family, the husband, kids and stuff like that too, because I can literally sit at my computer from 5 a.m. from when I get up in the morning. I try to do my morning routine, but from 6 a.m. up until I take kids to school, up until like 11 o'clock at night.
Totally.
Like, I'll take time in between to cook dinner and stuff like that. But still, I'm just like, I gotta get a better schedule. And I do know how valuable time blocking is. And I'm like, I keep telling people to do time blocking, but why am I not doing it?
I mean, it's hard to do. Actually, that's one of the number one reasons why people don't time block. It is so difficult for us to take time to like arrange our schedule every day so that it looks perfect. And then something messes it up. Like, you have to pick up your kids, or you have to like take a phone call with your family, and suddenly your whole schedule's messed up. And then it takes so much time to manage your calendar. And that's what we're trying to do with Smarties, to automate all of that so you can just visualize your day and know you're doing the right things at the right time.
Yes. Let's talk about unplugging from all technology.
Yes.
Because I hear that you're a piano player and a writer. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Those are my favorite hobbies.
Yes.
Too.
So how important is it for you sometimes to unplug from technology, and how does that like influence your creativity and work? Because I have to unplug myself at times.
I think everyone does. I think it is very toxic to be always tethered to your phone, because you're really taking a strain on your brain's mental energy. And I think it's really important for people to note what activities they do that energize them and what activities they do that de-energize them. And sometimes you have to do activities that de-energize you. You have to do that administrative work. You have to pay those bills. But you can plan your week in a way where if you do something that is detracting your energy, then you can immediately follow that up with something that raises up your energy levels. Like for me, playing the piano, or sometimes journaling, or sometimes just reading a book for fun. And I try to carve out time to do exactly that. I try to make sure that certain Saturday mornings are blocked out for lunch with my parents. And I know that's going to be like just my fun time, just with them. I'm not going to be thinking about work, and just like blocking out that time for your family, for your friends, for your creativity, so that you have your, I know I'm talking about energy levels a lot, but I think there is a lot of science behind this around how your brain only has a limited amount of willpower and a limited amount of focus. And you need to do everything you can to optimize those time periods.
Yeah. Yeah, you really do, because that unplugging is so important. And so that's what I do when it comes to my morning and evening routine. I try not, when I get up at 5 a.m., I try my best to not grab my computer or my phone. I try to just get up. I've been doing the miracle morning routines, or
I love that. I love the miracle morning routine.
So I've been doing that, and I'm like, I have to just kind of unplug and really trying to focus, do meditation, because I've never been able to meditate before because my mind would wander so much, but it's helping me put that into practice. So I do think it's important that you have those moments throughout your day or weeks that you just kind of unplug from technology to give yourself a break, because my mind can be thinking of so many different things that I have to do, and I have to learn how to settle it down so that it doesn't overwork itself. Because it would definitely do that. And I think a lot of us struggle with that as entrepreneurs, and as women. I think a lot of us struggle with that piece of it. Just
multitasking, always thinking, overthinking. Yeah. It's there. Actually, some of the best advice I've ever gotten is that if you are overthinking, you should write. If you're underthinking, you should read. And if you're doing both, then do both.
Oh, I like that. That's good advice right there. What advice would you give to like any young woman looking to make their mark in tech? What advice would you give them if they want to take that route, even if it comes to like career? Because even with my career in tech, it was very it was up and down, it wasn't easy. And especially as women in tech, especially women of color in tech. And so what advice would you give any woman looking to get into the industry to make their mark?
that is when you really look for mentors. You look for women who are in the position you want to be. Or if you're not sure, then talk to a lot of women in a lot of different positions. I think getting exposure to where you potentially want to be is a great way to understand what you want yourself. I think that has really helped me. And it doesn't have to be women, but ideally it would be women, someone you can aspire yourself and see yourself in their shoes, because that's a great way to get a sense of what they're doing, what their life is like, and they will have so much advice for you. I have never met a woman who I've reached out to who didn't want to help me succeed or thrive. And I think we all want to give back. We all want to pay it forward. So reach out to anyone who feels like they are doing something that you are even remotely interested in. And then advice from my own life, I tried out so many different careers. I tried out 10 different industries, tried out every field. I reached out to so many people being like, can I shadow you? Can I learn from you? Can I see if this is something that I want to do? And I kept finding myself being drawn back to tech. And I think that means something, that I kept finding myself coming back to wanting to be a builder and a coder. And I resisted it for so long, but I also think I resisted it because I was like, oh, life is short. I want to try everything. But at the same time, life is long and you want to make sure whatever you're doing is something that you really love. So it's important to experiment and try new things. I think that's the only way you'll ever know if this is something that's for you or not.
Yeah, I think so too. And I like that too. Try things and experiment, you're right. And try different careers and see what really sticks. Because I did different careers throughout my career that landed me in tech and found myself there for a very long time and really enjoyed that that particular career. Let me ask you about growth when it came to Smarty, when it comes to Smarty. When you first start out, you're solo, from what I assume. Right? Your solo is all in you. It's your idea. You're building it. When did you know it was time? Because in order to grow, you have to bring in other people, bring in a team. And I'm sure now you probably have a team that you work with. When did you know it was the first time for you to say, okay, Smarty now is really getting to a point where I can't manage it on my own. I need to bring in other team members now to really see it grow and scale. When did you have that kind of like that pivotal moment for you in your business?
Yeah, it's a really great question. Honestly, like the biggest advice I have for any aspiring founder is hiring the right team. It makes such a big difference. It is the number one differentiator, and it is better to conserve money and be by yourself and wait for the right hire than to hire someone that is the wrong fit and then waste a lot of time. And I had to learn that mistake over and over again, really, because it's hard to know how to hire if you've never done it before. You don't know what you're looking for. And then hiring for a startup is completely different than hiring at a larger tech company. It is not about someone's pedigree. It's not about someone's experiences. It's really about finding someone who is aligned with the vision, who's willing to put in the hours and is willing to learn. It's almost like it doesn't even matter if the person has the exact skill set you're looking for. It's more that you're looking for a collaborative, committed relationship, because you're going to be in the trenches for hours at a time together. And so it's really important that you, in such a small team and such a small, in a small like setting, that you really like vibe together and know that you're working towards the same North Star. And so it took me a long time to understand the importance of that. And so I do have a small team built around me, and I love everyone on the team so much, but it took me a long time to get here and a lot of trial and error. And I feel like we didn't need so much trial and error. I also think when I first started out, I started out as a solo founder. I had a lot of pressure to find a co-founder. And so I spent a lot of time trying to find like the right co-founder for me. And I almost had 3 different co-founders, and each one, we all parted amicably because either we weren't aligned on the vision, or our skill sets were not complementary enough, or we were like we didn't have this right working pattern together. And so in all 3 of those situations, while we parted amicably, it was also a lot of time and effort that I put into it. And now I have a much better sense of like, okay, what are we looking for in a team member? What is the rest of the team looking for? And actually, that's been my biggest tip for hiring, is having referrals from someone already on the team, because it adds a little bit of accountability when someone joins onto the team, but also you have a good sense of, okay, like these 2 people have worked together before. They know how they work together. Sometimes you also need to just be willing to take a risk on someone, just someone totally different and new. At a startup, you don't really know what you need until you're kind of in it.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's worth just like experimenting with people. I don't know. I feel like that was kind of contradictory advice there, but hiring is hard.
No, but it works. You're right. It's hard to find, like you said, when you're a solopreneur, it's hard to find people, one, that's going to buy into the idea, that's going to be just as passionate about you, about your business as you are. Because if you want to work, because like it's different parameters, like you said, when you're a bigger organization, most people are coming to that particular job. Either they like the company, they, or they just need the job. But I feel like when you are a startup, you really have to get people who are passionate, one, about what they do and passionate about what you're doing, to really kind of buy into it and see and want to see it grow together. So they really got to be invested. So, yeah, I think you gave some good advice when it comes to that. And when it comes to co-founder, do you think every tech solopreneur should look for a co-founder, or it just depends on the business or those who are trying to be invested in the business?
I wish I had a co-founder. I do.
Yeah.
It is not like entirely by choice that I do not have one, because it is a hard and lonely journey, and having a co-founder, someone who is equally bought into what you're building, is equally bought into the vision and loves working with you, that is such a gift if you can find someone like that who can bounce ideas off of you, who can give you that accountability, who can talk you up when you need it, who you can talk up when they need it. It is such a gift to have the perfect co-founder. And I think if everyone can find that person for them, they should. I unfortunately have not been able to find that person for me. And I've gotten to the stage where I'm at now where we started with an idea, we had an MVP, and now we're trying to get to a minimum viable company. So MVC almost. And I feel like I'm almost like beyond that step of finding a co-founder. But if the right person dropped in my lap, or if I met them, I would be like, please come join us.
Yeah, definitely. Where do you see the future? Because AI is everywhere now, and it's only going to get smarter, it's only going to get better, right? Where do you see the future of AI, especially in terms of like personal productivity and daily routines?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, I have this, like the 3 Ps of AI, like the 3 pillars of AI that I really believe in, which is that AI is going to be personalized. Actually, I'm going to start over. I have 3 pillars of AI. And the first one is AI is going to be predictive. So it's going to really understand what you're doing right now. And it's going to provide you the right information at the right time, the right recommendations based off what you're currently doing and predicting what you're going to do next. The second thing is, I think AI is going to be proactive. Based off what you're going to do next, AI is going to try to automate those next steps for you. And so that is really like one of the magical elements of AI, is that it's able to predict what you're going to do and actually automate those next steps and proactively do it for you. And then the last thing is personalized. It understands what your preferences are, what your choices are, what you like to do, and it can be proactive in the way that you would be proactive. So if you are doing something and AI predicts a bunch of different recommendations and it can proactively do all of those recommendations, it can personalize it to do the specific recommendation that is best for you without you having to give any input. And I think that is what we're going to see in all technology moving forward, that is what AI is really adding to every software, every industry, and it's going to disrupt everything we know. And so I think it's a very exciting time to witness all of this, because AI is a transformational technology, and it's just a tool. It's just a tool, but it is going to be affecting how every industry works. And that I think is really exciting. And that's really what we live by at Smarty as well. This idea of trying to make Smarty predictive, proactive, and personalized to you as the user. And I think every software, every industry is going to be doing that.
I think so too, because it's like I said, it's just the way it's just the route we're moving in. How does that translate over to like the workplace when it comes to productivity with teams? Is it the same terms of the predictiveness in terms of we're going to predict what your next steps are going to be when it comes to teamwork or just a job that you're in? How does that translate to the workplace?
Definitely. Exactly like that. I think a lot of companies are like struggling to figure out how to integrate these tools, or how these tools will work at the workplace right now. And so that's where all of these startups are now starting to pop up. But it is exactly that. It is looking at a meeting and seeing all the to-dos that came out of it, and then automatically assigning tasks to different team members based off knowing what they've done in the past and predicting who will do what best in the future. And so I think that's like one example of it, right? Like automatically assigning tasks, automatically taking a meeting and figuring out what the next proactive steps are from that meeting. That's just like very administrative work, but there are so many other spaces where AI can be applied.
Yeah. It's going to be really awesome to see how it shifts the workplace landscape. It really is.
Definitely.
What are some of the biggest lessons you think you've learned in leading the AI driven company?
Specifically by leading a company or like leading an AI driven company?
Leading an AI driven company.
It's an interesting question because I think, again, like AI is just a tool. And so I think they are kind of the same, but specifically, I think I feel very lucky and privileged to be at such a exciting and cutting edge time because AI, the vision that I've been pitching it since 2018, but I think the appetite for the vision has really changed in the last 6 years because today people really believe that AI can transform how we live and work and collaborate. And 6 years ago, I feel like this seemed like a delusional idea or almost like, I just can't see AI coming up and doing that. And so I just feel really lucky to, one, be so passionate about the space and to be so bought into this vision. And now finally seeing society also starting to transform and understand how transformative AI is as a tool and see that this vision can be a reality for all of us.
Yeah, it really can. I want to get your thoughts on cloning because I sat through a conference, AI tech conference, and they talked about they actually kind of like showed us this technology where you can clone yourself to do certain things, which I thought was like you said, one of those things where you're like, are you out of your mind? Are you serious right now? I mean, a lot of things came to my mind when I think about how people just kind of can hack certain things. And I'm like, can people now just hack you and become you wherever they want to be? What do you feel about the where we're headed when it comes to that type of technology, when it comes to like cloning? And do you see that taking place like in workplace and stuff like that? Like, what is your thoughts around that?
Yeah, well, I mean, Smarty, our goal was really to be this like AI digital extension of you, like being able to do the actions that you wanted based off the data we had about you. And so that was like the larger vision there. And I definitely think that is like a type of cloning, right? Even our definition of clone will definitely change as technology transforms. But I think, especially for kids being born today, there's so much data about them from the moment they're born and like how they think, how they read, how fast they're reading, what are they reading, what are they buying? All of this data is being collected and we can use that data to build models that can replicate how those beings can think and talk and choose. And I think it can be pretty accurate. And of course, that can sound scary, but it can also be empowering. It can be something that you can rely on as your coach, as your assistant, your best friend. I can almost see us all having our own like AI clones that are our best friends or an extension of ourselves. And so with anything, it is something we have to balance, like our fear as well as our excitement. I think someone recently told me that like AI is like fire. You can use it to heat up your house or you can use it to burn your house down. And so I think the governance of how rapidly this technology is developing, how it's built out and innovated and regulated, it is going to be very important in the next 5-10 years. But I do think, there are going to be different versions of what we think are clones coming out for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. It just showed me where I'm just like, wow, things are really
moving quickly.
It's moving very quickly into that futuristic state that I used to watch as a kid that you never thought would ever happen,
Totally.
But it's actually going to happen. What do you see next for Smarty and what projects, I guess, for Smarty are you most excited about right now?
So our focus this year is really on nailing the product, getting it right so that everyone is getting a ton of delight and time saved and can see the larger vision as we build it out. I think we're the most stable we've ever been. We have a really clear roadmap for this year. And so we're just trying to become hopefully profitable in the next year, 2 years. And so that's our number one milestone that we're trying to hit. The fundraising climate has changed a lot from growth to profitability. And so that's also why our focus has shifted a lot in the last few months. And so that's the number one goal for me. In terms of like the larger vision, it is really this idea of Smarty being able to connect to all of these different APIs for the different tools that you use, like Notion, like Asana, like potentially a flight booking API, so that Smarty can be this conversational hub where you interact with Smarty and know that you're interacting with all the other services you use online. And so that vision, I think, is becoming more and more of a reality every day. And I'm really excited to try to make it come into fruition.
Yeah, I'm excited for you because I definitely see it happening for you. 100%. So I'm definitely excited for you. What is one piece of advice you wish you had known before starting your founder's journey?
There's so many. And they all kind of mix together. So one is celebrating the small wins, because again, there's so many high highs and low lows, and you really need to take a lot of pride in every step that you make forward, because again, no one knows the right answer. There is no roadmap ahead of you. And so every year I tell myself, oh, I wish I'd been at this point a year ago. But a year ago, I would have been so grateful to be at this point. And so you have to remember that like you are making progress. You should really like be celebrating those small wins. And the second big piece of advice, which I think ties into that, is you are learning every day. You're learning at a rate that you have never learned at ever before, or you should be at least, because you're putting yourself out there. You don't know what you're doing, and you're experimenting, getting data, and re-experimenting and iterating. And the amount that I learn every day is something that I am proud of. And I have to remind myself, like, I should be proud of this. Like, even if there's not something tangible to show, this rate of learning has really made me grow leaps and bounds from where I was a year ago. And I am so grateful for that. And I have to remind myself that I am grateful for that, because I don't know any other job where I would be getting the same level of growth as I do as a founder. And I wish I'd known that at the beginning, so that I could have used that to tell myself, like, it's okay. Like, things are going in the direction that they're going, and you're doing great.
Yeah. You really are doing great. This is absolutely amazing. I'm so glad you was able to come on the show. Before I end the show, I'm just going to ask you a question one more time to kind of give the aspiring female entrepreneur some words of wisdom to kind of help them stay on their journey, because as you know, it's a rocky journey. So what words of wisdom can you give them to keep them inspired on their journey?
It's a great question. And I think two main things. The first, keep going, keep showing up, keep learning, keep pursuing your passions, and keep iterating and experimenting, because you never know when something will turn into that huge idea. And then the second thing, this thing that I wish I'd known earlier, is that you can validate your idea before you even start building. You can start doing user research. You can start building websites and landing pages to try and draw in customers or users who are interested in your product. You can find the pain point, figure out what the right product is before you even start building. There's so many ways to prototype. So just experiment with ideas and start validating those ideas. You don't need to do a lot. Just a simple website is enough. There's so many ways that you can start testing your ideas right away. So don't hold yourself back from testing, and get started today.
Yeah, I like that, Denzil. This has been a really great interview. Thank you so much for coming on the Girl Take No podcast. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. I am really, I hope your audience enjoyed this talk.
Yes, I know they're going to get a lot of great things out of this conversation. So listen, guys, I am Shani Sanders. This is the Girl Take No podcast, and I will talk to you next time.